You wake up to the sound of chains shaking in the dark. The stone under your body is so cold it feels like it burns. When you try to move, the iron cuffs cut into your wrists. You're not in your hillside village anymore, the place where you chased goats and helped your mother grind grain. That life ended 3 days ago, when slave traders came through your village like a storm of locusts, picking people with quick, practiced eyes. Your name was Kais, a simple Celtic name your father gave you, the same name his father had. But that name ended the moment rough hands pulled you out of your family's hut. Now you are property, an item, a thing to be priced and sold. The man looking at you speaks Latin in short, sharp words, touching your hair like he's testing cloth, tilting your chin to see your bones in the flickering torchlight. "This one will do well," he says to another man. That other man, a Greek with sharp eyes, nods and writes on a wax tablet. "Celtic stock always sells high. Look at that golden hair and young enough to train." You don't know all the words, but you know the tone. You've heard it before when your father sold animals at the market. The same way of talking, the same weighing of value, except now you are the animal, and the market is Rome's endless hunger for beauty it can own and use. The trip to Rome is a blur of nightmares, cramped wagons, little food, other children, all in chains. Some cry nonstop. Some are so silent they look half dead. A few, those who scare you the most, are already trying to fit in, learning Latin words from guards, bowing and obeying to look useful. But it's when you reach the slave markets of Rome that the true horror begins. It's not chaos like you imagined. It's neat, organized, coldly perfect. The markets for what Romans call delicati, the delicate ones, work with the skill of an army and the beauty of an art show. Before we go deeper into these forgotten stories of survival and suffering, if you like learning about hidden truths of history, think about pressing that like button and subscribing for more stories like this. And please leave a comment to tell me where you're listening from. I find it amazing that we're sharing these ancient stories together from different parts of the world, connected through time by our curiosity about the past. First, they bathe you, scrub you until your skin turns pink, then oil you with scents that make you smell like flowers you've never seen. Your hair is cut and styled by a man whose hands move fast, like he has done this to hundreds of boys before. They dress you in a plain white tunic that shows your youth and innocence, a costume meant to spark certain thoughts in buyers. The inspection is slow and humiliating. Buyers walk around you like wolves circling prey, talking about your good points and flaws without once treating you as human. They check your teeth like you're a horse. They look over your skin for spots. They measure your arms and legs like you're marble for a statue. Some try broken Celtic, testing if you obey commands. Others want to see how you react. Do you flinch? Do you cry? Do you stay quiet? Marcus Lucullus is the one who finally buys you. He's in his 40s, soft around the waist from eating well, but his eyes are sharp and notice everything. He studies you carefully, sliding his hands along your arms and shoulders, turning your face toward the light to see every angle. When he talks to the dealer, his voice is calm, like a man used to getting whatever he wants. "How old?" he asks, though he already knows. 12, maybe 13. Young enough to train, old enough to be interesting. Look at those bones. He'll stay handsome for years before you need a new one. The mention of being replaced hits you like a slap. You're not just being sold into slavery. You're being sold into a system where your worth will fade, where your time will run out. But even this thought is smaller than the fear of what role you are really being sold for. The deal finishes like buying bread. Coins change hands. Papers are signed. And suddenly you belong to Marcus Lucullus, the same way his sandals or his toga belong to him. He doesn't speak to you. Slaves don't deserve words. Instead, he tells an older man, dressed finely, to take you to his house. The villa that becomes your new world is more beautiful than anything you could have dreamed of back in your small village life.
Marble floors shine with little pictures made from stone, walls painted with old myths, and gardens filled with strange plants whose smells make you dizzy. But the beauty feels scary once you realize it's all made to hold you prisoner. Every detail is part of a stage where you must play a role you never chose. Your training starts right away. The man in charge is Alexandros, once a favorite himself, now older and safe because he manages the master's boys. He isn't cruel, but his kindness feels distant, like someone who knows not to care too much about people who will be replaced. He explains that the master likes smart talk. You'll study Greek thinking, Roman poems, simple math, and music. Your body must stay nice, so your food is controlled, and you bathe twice each day with oils to keep your skin soft. The most important lessons are about behavior. You learn how to walk, sit, lower your eyes, and look attentive without really listening when the master talks with guests. The lessons are endless. Mornings are for language, not only Latin and Greek, but also the small changes in tone for each group. Senators are spoken to one way, merchants another. There are words that show respect without looking weak, and ways to speak smartly without ever seeming smarter than your master. Afternoons are for culture. You memorize long poems, not because you enjoy them, though sometimes you do, but because you may need to recite them for his fun. You study the myths on the villa walls, learning to explain their meaning while never sounding too clever. Then comes music. With the lyre, you find a little escape. For a short while, the songs carry you outside those marble walls. But even this safe place feels spoiled when you see each tune is picked to please your master during private times. Training also shapes your body. But it's not the exercise you know. You don't build strength or toughness. Instead, everything is about keeping the soft, youthful look your master wanted when he bought you. Your food is controlled so you never grow strong. Herbs are mixed in, oils rubbed on your skin, and doctors use treatments to keep you looking young. The mind training is worse than the body training. Bit by bit, they break your old self. Your real name is banned. Now you are called Ganymede, after the pretty boy Zeus once took. Your old memories are called useless dreams. Your past life is said to be fake. And now this is your real life. You are told again and again that your only value is making your master happy. If you succeed, you're rewarded. If you fail, you're worthless. The message is constant, and it works. The other boys are both friends and rivals. Alexis, a Syrian boy with deep eyes, came 6 months earlier. He already knows the tricks. He shows you how to use makeup, how to mix wine the way the master likes, and warns you about the questions never to ask. Then there's Dionysius, a Greek boy who's been here 3 years. He moves like a shadow, still beautiful, still useful, but empty, like his soul has left him. The boys whisper that this is what happens when you give up completely. Your first private call comes 3 weeks after you arrive. Alexandros spends all day preparing you. He chooses the right tunic that makes you look slim, arranges your hair so the lamps shine on it, and adds makeup to make you look young but not fake. He teaches you how to walk into the room, where to stand, and how to answer without looking too eager or too slow. At the end, as he fixes the last detail, he reminds you quietly, you exist for his pleasure. Your thoughts, your feelings, your wishes, none of these matter.
What matters now is that you give him whatever he wants in the moment. Sometimes it's talk, sometimes quiet company, and sometimes it's more personal service. Your job is to sense what he needs and give it before he even asks. The walk to his private room feels endless. It's only a hallway, but your bare feet make no sound on the marble while your heart beats so loud you think everyone in the villa can hear it. The guards at the door step aside without looking at you. You don't matter enough for them to notice. And suddenly, you are alone with the man who owns you completely. Marcus Lucalis is resting on a couch covered in silk, a cup of wine in his hand, with scrolls scattered nearby showing he has been reading. He has taken off his formal toga and now wears only a plain tunic, but this makes his power feel even stronger. The simple setting makes his control clear. "Come here, boy," he says, still looking at his scroll. His voice isn't harsh, but it isn't kind either. It's flat, the way someone might call a servant or even a dog. You walk slowly, unsure how near he wants you, stopping just outside his reach until he waves for you to come closer. "Turn around," he orders, and you obey, moving carefully so he can see you from every side. His eyes judge you with the same detail he used at the slave market, checking the results of weeks of grooming and lessons. When he nods in approval, you feel both relief and shame at once. Relief that you passed. Shame that your value depends on how pleasing you look to him. "Alexandros says you're learning fast," he says, setting his cup aside and watching you fully now. "Recite something for me. Something Greek. I want philosophy." You begin a passage from Plato's Symposium, chosen for its beauty and because you memorized it perfectly. As you speak, you watch his face, adjusting your tone to his reactions. When he smiles at one line, you feel sudden pride, then disgust at yourself for enjoying his approval. But this is exactly what your training was meant to teach. "Lovely," he says when you finish. "Your accent still needs work, but that will improve." Then he pats the seat. "Sit beside me. No, closer. I want to feel your warmth while I read." The next hour passes in a strange closeness, unlike anything you have known before. You sit perfectly still while he reads, and sometimes he strokes your hair absently, the way someone might pet a cat. At times he reads out loud and asks you questions, testing if you understand. When your answers please him, his touch is softer. When you fail, his attention pulls away, and you quickly learn that this cold silence hurts more than any punishment. This becomes the rhythm of your new life. Days filled with training, and nights called to provide whatever role he desires. Sometimes he wants talk, discussions about poems or ideas where you must be interested but never challenging. Sometimes he wants beauty, where you sit silently as decoration to impress his guests, proof of his wealth and taste. And sometimes he wants more, in ways your old life gave you no knowledge of. You learn that both your body and mind are there only to please him. The fine house, the lessons, the careful grooming, everything is part of a system built to make you a better possession. You are not treated as a person who happens to be owned. You are turned into an object made for his use. The mental damage is worse than any physical pain. Slowly you lose track of where the performance ends and where you begin. The mannerisms you practice now come naturally. The tastes he gave you start to feel like your own. And the most unsettling of all, you catch yourself feeling real affection for the man who stole your freedom and reshaped you into his design. The other boys each find their own ways to survive. Alexis has become skilled at playing with the master's moods. He knows how to stir his kindness, how to keep his favor, and how to stay useful even as beauty fades. In a rare quiet moment, he whispers his advice. The secret, he says, is to make yourself more than just a pretty face. Learn his business, understand his dealings, and give clever thoughts that make you useful in ways no other boy can be.
Become skilled at running the household so he depends on your efficiency.
Build ties with his important guests, so he values you for more than beauty. Looks fade, but usefulness can last longer. Dionysius shows another way to survive. He has erased himself so completely that he seems to have no wants, no fears, no hopes. He follows every command with perfect obedience. He gives whatever service is needed. He lives in such deep submission that resistance is not even possible anymore. In a way, he seems calm, but it's the calm of death, not of life. You try to walk a middle path between Alexis with his clever tricks and Dionysius with his empty surrender. You do your part with care, but you still try to hold on to some little core of yourself, something untouched. But it's harder than you thought. The whole system is built to crush resistance. Your life depends fully on pleasing your master. Your worth is tied only to his approval. Thinking for yourself slowly becomes strange, almost impossible. Months pass, then years. Your body starts to change. Your voice deepens, and you must hide it with careful breath control. Muscles begin to form, so your diet is cut harder to keep you soft. Hair grows on your face, which you shave away every day. Each change brings fear. Fear that you won't be useful anymore. Fear that your value is slipping. The household itself changes too. New boys arrive, older ones disappear. You watch the cycle repeat. The terror of the new ones, the slow adjustment, the careful moves to gain favor, and finally, the ending. Some are sold to other houses. Some are freed with small payments. A few just vanish. No one explains. Among the boys, you form tangled relationships. Real friendship exists, but so does rivalry. You support each other, sharing tricks to survive, warning each other when the master's moods shift, comforting each other in despair. But at the same time, you fight for position. Being the favorite boy means better food, better treatment, more safety. Everyone knows it. The world outside continues too, but it means little to you now. You hear news of wars, politics, and society, but they feel as far away as old myths. Your world is the villa. Your focus is survival inside those walls. Sometimes, though, memories slip through. The smell of bread takes you back to your mother's kitchen. A merchant's voice reminds you of your father. The pain hits so hard, you force yourself to push the memory away. Better to stay focused on the life you're trapped in now. Your master ages too, but with ease. His hair goes gray, his face gains lines, his body grows heavier. Yet for him, these changes bring respect and authority. Age makes him wiser, more powerful. For you, age only brings the end of value. The older you grow, the closer you are to being replaced. This realization fills your days with urgency. Each good performance feels like you've bought yourself a little more time. Each moment of his approval feels like survival. You even feel thankful for his smallest kindness, a gentle touch, a real conversation, an expensive gift. Deep down, you know he gives these things as one gives to property, not as one human to another, but you still feel grateful. Some boys break under this pressure. They fight harder for attention, offer more degrading services, or simply collapse, unable to meet the endless standard. Others, like you, try to accept it calmly. You act with steady skill, keeping a small thread of dignity alive. The worst trick of the system is how it makes you part of your own cage. You become proud of predicting his moods. You compete with others to be the best at pleasing him. You don't just copy his values, you start to believe in them. You measure yourself with his standards. You feel like your whole identity comes from his approval. After years of this, the bond is so strong that freedom doesn't even feel possible. It doesn't even feel real. When you sometimes hear stories of slaves who tried to run away reach your ears, but your first reaction is not admiration, it's confusion. Where would they go? How would they live? What name could they use outside the role they were trained to play? The system doesn't just trap your body. It traps your mind,
making freedom itself feel impossible to imagine. Yet, even inside this prison of rules, tiny acts of resistance still survive. You keep small bits of your old language, though you never dare to speak them out loud. You hold on to memories of your family, though you rarely let yourself feel them. Most of all, you know deep inside that this life isn't your only possible self. Even if you can't picture another life, you know it exists. The end, when it comes, arrives with the same cold order as the beginning. Your master's attention moves on to younger boys, and your changing body makes you less desirable. There's no fight, no goodbye filled with emotion, just Alexandros speaking with his usual calm, explaining that your future has been arranged. The master has chosen manumission. You'll be freed. You'll receive a small inheritance and a letter of recommendation for work in a senator's house. The irony cuts deep. The same years of abuse that broke you also gave you skills. You speak languages, recite poetry, handle numbers, and behave with perfect manners. These things now make you valuable in the world outside. But every ability reminds you where you learned it, in a cage dressed as luxury. Your politeness, your deference, your instinct to obey, they weren't natural. They were drilled into you until they became second nature. Freedom feels strange. It doesn't feel like flying free. It feels like being dropped into a wide, confusing world with no map. For years, every moment of your life was planned by others. Every choice was made for you. Now you must decide for yourself, and you don't even know what you want. You've been trained so hard to sense others' wishes that when you try to think of your own, there is only silence. The world beyond the villa is huge, full of roads, markets, and people. But you don't have the tools to move through it as your own person. The boys you leave behind are reminders of what might have been. Some will find ways to adjust, turning their training into skills that bring them success. Some will fail, lost without the strict structure of slavery. And some will stay forever, growing into roles like Alexandros, keeping the cycle alive. You walk away from the villa at last. You carry not only knowledge and skills, but scars that will never fully fade. Your story becomes one of thousands, erased by Rome's historians who preferred to celebrate glory and ignore shame. The empire fell long ago, but not before countless boys were fed into this hidden machine of desire and power. Their names are gone, their lives dismissed as footnotes, but their pain was real, and their ability to survive was remarkable. You end as both victim and survivor, shaped by powers bigger than you, but not completely defined by them. The boy taken from a Celtic hillside and the man walking away from a Roman villa are still the same soul, joined by a thin but unbroken thread of identity. That thread is dignity. No master, no system, no empire could cut it fully away. The marble halls stand empty now. The golden doors have fallen to dust. The empire that once normalized such cruelty is gone. But if we remember the voices silenced, if we acknowledge the true cost of what history called civilization, then their suffering has meaning. The faces change with time. The methods change too. But the truth remains. Those in power always find ways to use those without it, especially when youth and beauty are involved. These lives were never truly secret. They were simply ignored by people who chose not to see. Telling their stories now ensures they are not erased. Their pain mattered. Their survival mattered. And maybe by remembering, we can stop others from walking down those same torch-lit corridors toward doors that should never have opened for children at all.